What's up, y'all? It's your girl Destiny, and today we're going to be talking about how to journal for self-growth. And if you're new to my channel, I talk about all things self-growth here. So if that's something that you're into, go ahead and click that subscribe button. All right, y'all. So the thing about journaling for self-growth is that you have to be very intentional. Because you can just journal just to let your thoughts out. But if you want to journal for self-growth in specific, you really have to be intentional about like what you're writing about, how you're writing, whether or not you're going back and reflecting. So we're going to get into these tips that I have for journaling for self-growth. So tip number 1 is going to be set your intention. Doing this is really going to help you get to know yourself better, help you kind of figure out what your patterns are, get more in tune with your emotions, and unpack new experiences. And you can even do things like track your progress, find ways to be a little bit more mindful. So a good example of, setting an intention before you start your journaling session is something like, today I want to reflect on my behavior at that gathering to cultivate a better practice of being more mindful and present in the moment. Yes, because sometimes we need to understand our behavior. We need to understand why we acted a certain way, why we reacted a certain way, and get to know ourselves better. So that's just like an example of setting an intention before you start your session. And like, let's say for instance, that was actually an intention that I was setting for a journaling session. I would literally probably start from start to finish, like how I felt when I got invited to the gathering, getting ready, leading up to how I felt leading up to it, when I got there, who was there that was significant, in my experience, how it started off, where did things go left if things went left, where did things go great if things went great, and kind of just carrying yourself through that experience so that you can reflect and figure out how your behavior got to where it was and why it got that way. And then just kind of figuring out, and then letting yourself know where you can improve, or where things could have been better, or how you could have reacted differently. You can go so deep into it, but that's just an example. Number 2 is going to be testing out different techniques and formatting. And I say this because you can either give yourself prompts and then just answer the prompts, or you can just free write, stream of consciousness, whatever comes to your mind, put it on paper, because you're just trying to empty your mind out and get whatever is in your brain out of your head, because there's just too much up in there. You can journal for gratitude. I used to wake up every single morning and literally just write everything that I'm grateful for, and I would get really deep in that too, but just writing everything that I'm grateful for. You can even journal mind maps, so doing plans, your ideas, your goals. And it's actually crazy because I would actually do that, write down in a mind map my goals, my ideas, do boxes and lines and all types of stuff. And I never really considered it journaling. I considered it brainstorming. But brainstorming too is like journaling, because you're getting something out of your head and you're putting it on paper. You're seeing how something is going to work. You go back to it, you reflect on it. It's literally the same thing. So you can get creative with the way that you actually journal when you do it on paper. You can even do art journaling and add doodles, make the page pretty, do what you got to do to get yourself engaged into it. You can even draw something that represents what's going on in your mind. You can even do timelines and lists. You can do bullet points. Whatever works for you is what you need to figure out. And something that I really wanted to mention is that journaling does not have to be in the form of writing. You can do voice recordings. You can do videos. You can do scrapbooking. You don't have to write everything down. You can do it in the form of poetry. Granted, that could be writing or using your voice, but you can, whatever medium works for you is what you want to use to get whatever it is out of your head. Now, because we're specifically talking about self-growth, I do want to give y'all, some prompts that are very broad that you can just run with every single day if you really wanted to, and you really didn't have to do anything else, and it will still help you facilitate some growth. So a daily reflection: what went right today, what went wrong today, and why? The importance is the why. Is for you to understand why something went right or why something went wrong, so that you can either repeat or improve, whichever process you need to do, whether or not it went right or wrong. And that's you can do that every single day and run with it and grow simply from that, from learning your patterns, from figuring out, okay, what went right and why. Oh, I did that right today, I did that good today, I could be doing that more often. Or, oh, that went kind of left, I could have reacted differently, next time I'll do better. Number 2 is going to be gratitude. Just gratitude journaling. Just waking up every single morning and saying what you're grateful for will set the tone for the day, and you will have a more positive day. You will have a more positive mindset, and that will help you grow having a positive mindset. Prompts for self-discovery and finding purpose. What excites me? What excites me today? What am I avoiding? What's something new that I would like to try? what have I been enjoying a lot lately? And because, you know, everything is constantly changing, there is going to be a different answer for these questions whenever you ask yourself them. Okay, I don't know what number this is anymore, but the next one is going to be goal setting and writing a letter to yourself. So writing a letter to your future self about what you hope you're doing, where you hope you're at, who you hope is in your life, whatever the case may be. And granted, this might not change every single day, which is fine though. Even if you did this once a week, once a month, it's going to facilitate some growth. Writing a letter to yourself and where you hope you're at, what you did, how you feel, if there's anything that you're proud of, so that you can remind yourself in the future about that proud moment that you had in the past. You know, whatever the case may be, writing a letter to yourself. That's going to get the job done. That is like literally you speaking to yourself, and it is so powerful, writing a letter to yourself. So I honestly recommend that you do that maybe like at least once quarterly, but even like once every 6 months or once a year, like it's cool. Like, oh, every year I write a letter to myself, and the next year before I write my new letter to myself, I read it. And then, of course, just uplifting yourself, whether that's things that you love about yourself, things that you're proud of, a list of your unique qualities and why you appreciate them. And as you learn yourself more over time, there will be different answers to these questions. And as you grow and you achieve more things, there will be different answers to these questions. And you will learn to love yourself more. And loving yourself is actually one of my goals in my self-growth journey. So that is really going to facilitate some growth. The more you love yourself, the more you're going to grow. Okay, so tip number 4 for journaling is going to be consistent and try to actually do it regularly. Like, create a schedule for yourself. And like, it doesn't even have to be like every single day at this time, dear smack, get it done. No. Although I will say, journaling at the same time of day that you do decide to journal will help a lot in your consistency, because it's gonna feel like a routine and just like a certain part of your day that you need to do. And I would recommend like journaling like 2 or 3 days a week, so that way you're not like forcing yourself to do it like one day if you don't really feel like it. You kind of have like that flexibility. So like, even like if you journal Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, okay, that's like your 3 days out the week, like, and you good. Or if you journal Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you good. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, whatever 3 or 4 days out of the week that you know, got into it, felt like doing it and needed to do it, that is definitely good enough, and it gives you some flexibility. And then also you can, you know, kind of have those days off where you really don't feel like, you just don't feel like doing it, and that's totally fine too. But 3 to 4 days out of the week is definitely enough to be consistent and to still have it feel like a habit. And honestly, even once a week is good, but if you do it once a week, then I would recommend doing it on a certain day at a certain time, because you're doing it less frequently. So then you want it to really feel like a routine or a habit. Like, oh, every Friday I journal this, every Sunday I journal and reflect on my week, something like that. Tip number 5 is going to be honest and non-judgmental with yourself. We can be dishonest with ourselves. We can lie to ourselves and tell ourselves things that we want to hear. We can also be very judgmental of ourselves, and you know, maybe that's when like the negative self-talk you know, creeps in. We're talking badly about ourselves. Oh, you're so dumb. Oh, you're so lazy. Oh, you're so this. Oh, you're so that. No, this is not that. Show yourself some compassion, but be honest with yourself and don't be in denial about nothing. Nobody is going to be reading this journal but you. You're safe in your thoughts with your own journaling practices. This is really going to allow yourself to explore the difficult emotions that you have. And I feel like a lot of emotions that like we tend to be embarrassed of, maybe like jealousy or guilt, even like being mad or hurt, sad about a certain thing. Like, we tend to feel a little bit embarrassed about our negative emotions. So this is like a safe space for you to actually explore those emotions and figure out why you feel them, figure out how to mend them and make them better so that you don't feel them anymore. And please remember too, there's no reason to be embarrassed about any emotion that you feel, because we are made to feel. But also, these are all natural human emotions, whether it's jealousy or guilt or sadness or whatever. These are all natural human emotions, and we are made to feel. So let yourself feel them and explore them. Just don't let yourself sit in them for too long. Number 6 is going to be to create the right environment. There's no way, for instance, that you're going to be sitting in a car on your way to a party with the car full and you in the back with the music blasting and you trying to journal on your phone. No, you need a quiet space, You need to be like I'm not even gonna say the right mindset, because sometimes your sometimes your mind is all over the place, and you just got to get these thoughts out of your head and onto some paper. That's totally fine, but you got to put yourself in a private, quiet area where you can really be vulnerable with yourself. Because I'm gonna say this too, journaling can get really deep, and you might even get to a point where maybe you start crying. Maybe you feel super duper emotional. It can either be tears of joy or tears of sadness, but sometimes it gets like that. And you really want to be in a space where you can be 100% vulnerable with yourself and by yourself. You want to be free from distractions. You can even try, listening to some calm music. Or just having it be dead silent. Totally up to you. Maybe even have some tea. Or some wine if that's your thing. But just create an environment where, you feel safe, you feel comfortable, you have your privacy, and you can be as open and honest with yourself as possible. Tip number 6 is going to be reflect and look back at those journal entries that you actually wrote or recorded. Look back for patterns of your behavior. Look back for patterns in your decision making. Look back and try to find some triggers. And we're not just looking back and reflecting for the negative stuff, for the stuff that we need to work on. We're also looking back for the stuff that we can be proud of, like celebrating your small wins, celebrating your progress. Use these reflections to actually adjust and improve where needed. And tip number 7 is going to be to give yourself a time frame, because you do want to make sure that, like, okay, I won't say give yourself a time frame, but give yourself like a minimum, like I want to be journaling for at least 5 minutes, or at least 10 minutes, or at least 15 minutes. So that way, like, you can really like sit in that space, because sometimes it'll even take you a minute to even figure out what it is that you want to get out, or it'll take you a minute to get comfortable enough to like be honest with yourself. Like sometimes you got some convincing to do, and being honest with yourself. And so give yourself like a minimum. Okay, I'm gonna give yourself a minimum, like, okay, I'm going to journal for at least 15 minutes today. And let it last however long it's gonna last. That's why I say not time frame, but just a time, like a minimum. Not a time frame, because you can start journaling and now you look up and you've been journaling for like 45 minutes, and that's perfectly fine, because that means that that's the session that you needed. But give yourself a minimum so that you're actually committing to it. And another bonus tip will literally just be to like set a reminder if you need to journal, especially starting out in the beginning, because this is not something that we have to do. This is something that we're choosing to do. And when we have stuff that we have to do, it's easy to like let our day become consumed by the stuff that we have to do. So in the beginning, if you need to like set reminders for yourself, go ahead and do that. And even if you're not in the beginning processes, if you need to just set a reminder because you just got a lot going on all the time, or you always busy, do that. Set reminders, because that will really help you stay on track. All right, y'all, that is all I got for you guys today. If you have any tips for journaling, for self-growth, go ahead and let us know down in the comments. Y'all know the more the merrier. Anything pertaining to this content that can add to it, let us know. I hope that these tips really help somebody out there, because they really helped me, and journaling has had such a big impact on me, and just getting to know myself and reflecting on stuff and just being open and honest and getting stuff out of my head. So yeah, I hope that this helps somebody out there. Y'all, don't forget to like and subscribe. It would mean so much to me. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.